Bob, you've written very strongly about the situation in Gaza this week. What made you want to get into it now?
Like everyone else, I would have an opinion about the war itself and its conduct on both sides, but that opinion would be precisely the same as the next guy in the bar. When it comes to famine and starvation, I think I have a right to speak. I've had 40 years of doing this. I was a founding patron of the Genocide, the Aegis Trust for Genocide Studies, which is an arm of the National Holocaust Museum in the UK. And to be honest with you, Trevor, it enrages me to a point beyond comprehension when I see the images that Sky News were publishing and what Dr. Maynard was reporting from inside Gaza. And at that point, I thought that the 40th anniversary of Band-Aid, my own past and history with this, I thought I should say something now.
The Israeli view is that there is actually no famine caused by Israel. There's a man-made shortage, but it's been engineered by Hamas. I guess Israelis would say we don't see much criticism from your side of Hamas.
That's a false equivalence, and the Israeli authorities are lying.
They're lying, did you say?
They're lying. Netanyahu lies, is a liar. The IDF are lying. They're dangling food in front of starving, panicked, exhausted mothers. And while they arrive to accept the tiny amount of foods that this sort of set up pantomime outfit, the Gaza Humanitarian Front, I would call it, as they dangle it, then they're shot wantonly. This month, up to now, 1,000 children or 1,000 people have died of starvation. I'm really not interested in what either of these sides are saying. When you target infants and children, when their wounds are no longer capable of healing, when breastfeeding mothers can no longer do this, then everything goes out the window. Talk about recognizing Palestinian states. This, at this point, is a kind of virtue signaling. It's academic. It doesn't matter. This wanton criminality must stop immediately. As an instrument of war,
Israelis would say
famine and malnutrition is a crime.
Just as a matter of fact, the Israelis would say that there are over 700 trucks sitting inside Gaza waiting for the United Nations to collect them. And they say that this is a result of the UN's own incompetence, that this material, these food is there. And I don't think there's any argument that food is there, is there?
I know you have to be fair-minded. I don't. I know this stuff back to front. Band-Aid deals with these sort of people all the time. They're lying. And this is a disgrace. And if the news feeds and social feeds weren't so censored in Israel, I imagine that the Israeli people would not permit what has been done in their name.
You actually say in terms that what we're seeing in Gaza is the responsibility of the whole Israeli people. But I think you'd accept that Mr. Netanyahu doesn't command a majority of the voters in Israel, and he faces regular demonstrations against the war. Isn't it a bit unfair to blame all Israelis for this?
No, because they're the ones at war. Their government is at war in their name. Whatever about the origins of this war, and I would completely agree with everyone as to what happened on October the 7th, inhumane, disgusting, and disgraceful. But we're way, way past that now. We're down to some base level of bestiality. And if the Israeli people are aware of what's been done in their name, and you've had on Sky News Dr. Maynard reporting exactly where people are being targeted as they queue for food. Let me just finish this. Yes. And they're being used, quote, as target practice, so that one day they're targeted at their abdomens, the next day young men are targeted in their testicles. Trevor, please, anyone watching this, please, we're way beyond the protestations of this government who are stacked with extremists, and Netanyahu has now gone beyond anything he proposed as his war aim. He's flailing, and the subject of this flailing is these children. And honestly, I don't want to hear from Hamas, I don't want to hear from Netanyahu. Stop this by any means right now.
The Israeli Defense Force, of course, would contest your description of what is happening around
Of course they do.
stations. And,
show me an army behaving like they do. Who doesn't?
But I think that the issue here is we can see demonstrations weekly by Israelis against their own government.
Not enough, mate.
And the point I'm really just making is, isn't it a bit unfair to say this is the Israelis as a whole?
Stop it. Stop it, Trevor. What's unfair is what's happening to these babies. What's unfair is that image that you showed us. That's unfair. 1 hour from, I've been in Gaza, I've been in the West Bank, I've been in Israel many times. What's unfair is that 1 hour from the hunger, people are sitting down to their unthreatened dinners to turn on the next Netflix soap. 1 hour. So if Israelis want to protest, get in your cars. This is very Bob stuff, I know. Sorry about that. Okay. Get in your cars, stuff your cars full of food and drive through that border and let your own army stop you. Stop it. You guys stop it. Shame on you.
But one other thing I just want to say about your argument, about your article before we come on to talk about our own government. You say that the Israelis will sit down to unthreatened dinners and soap operas on TV. But I think an Israeli would be saying to you now, whatever the truth about what's happening as you've described it, even before October the 7th, before that atrocity, they would say that there were people under constant attack from the Iranians, from the Houthis, from Hezbollah, from Hamas. They do have reason to be fearful, don't they?
They do indeed, and I entirely support and endorse the state of Israel. This is not part of this. This is about using infants as instruments of war and starving. Trevor, there are very few people watching this program have held or seen or heard babies dying of hunger, or seen the panicked mothers or the fathers and their failure to take care of their children. Just stop. Just stop.
What do you make of our own government's reaction so far?
Not enough. And, you know, this is a distractive thing about, let's recognize the state. Absolutely. It should have been done ages ago. But it's not going to make any material difference. Please, Labour MPs, stop signing your letters. You know, stop Prime Minister and that. You know, it's a plain fact that David Lammy would like to immediately recognise it. It's a plain fact Keir Starmer probably would. But he's got Trump, you know, up in Scotland. It's probably, he feels it's in Britain's greater interest to stay as close to the US, especially with this variable president at the moment. So there's big pictures in there, but enough. Guys, focus on the issue to hand. It isn't the recognition of the state. That will come inevitably, and the sooner the better. But that isn't the issue with what you are telling us nightly, Trevor. The issue is, can we stop these children and their exhausted and panicked mothers? As you yourself reported, children are, as the FT reported today, children are taking a teaspoonful of salt and as much water as they can drink to fill their bellies. Who are we? Who are we? In Bristol this week, they created the 4th largest computer that can do 23 quintillion deductions in a second. And children are taking a teaspoonful of salt and a belly full of water down the road. Shut up. What have we become that we can do this miracle and perpetuate this atrocity, this agony? Honestly, Trevor, seriously, beyond argument, can we all just focus on what's important?
Bob, just before I let you go, can I just ask you very briefly about one other area where I know Band-Aid is active and which, if you like, One shouldn't compare disasters, but is equally worthy, I think, of our attention, and that is Sudan. What should we... do you have any hope of peace there?
No, you're right, Trevor. Band-Aid is active there. If these gang-raped women and their broken bodies and minds can get over the line with their starving kids, then we'll do our best to try and give them some sort of hope for life. But the reality is, as Boston University reported since February the 1st this year, when Musk, that deeply troubled person, cackled, the richest, I mean, look, the strongest nation on earth, the most powerful man on the planet, and the richest individual ever seen in the history of the world decided with glee to feed, in their words, USAID to the chipper. The net result is that so far 300,000 people have died, according to Boston University, and the Lancet, of all papers, reported 14 million would die before 2030 because of this policy. USAID have shut down all their work in Sudan, and as a result, currently about 2 million children are dying of hunger, again, as a deliberate instrument of war. And there's no one to take care of them, and there's no one to report on it. So the world is not a nice place, but where we can do something, where we can possibly tilt it a little towards justice and fairness, then we should. And that would be Israel at the moment.
Bob Geldof, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Trevor.
Well, we did invite the Israeli ambassador here for an interview this morning. She was not available. Well, the Israeli military has announced a tactical pause in fighting in 3 areas of Gaza. It'll designate secure routes to help aid agencies deliver food. And we've had this response from the Israeli government. Despite the false claims that are being spread, the state of Israel does not limit the number of humanitarian aid trucks entering the Gaza Strip. Recently, the Israeli security establishment has advanced a series of measures to stabilize the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, including the opening of the Zikim crossing, the entry of aid via the Egyptian and Jordanian routes, adjusting the inspection capacity at the crossings, developing joint plans with the UN and international organizations to improve collection capabilities, and more. Over the past month, we've witnessed a significant decline in the collection of aid from the crossings into the Gaza Strip by international aid organizations. The delays in collection by the UN and international organizations harm the situation and the food security of Gaza's residents.